go here.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan. My guest today is Sonya Parenti, otherwise known on Instagram as Miss Love Terra, and you may have heard her name or seen her name because I repost a lot of her posts. And she is in the fashion world, and I'm so excited to share this message with you guys. So, Miss Sonya, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, hi Amy, and hello everyone. Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm connecting from London, and it's pretty chilly here as well. But I've heard that it's quite cold where you are as well, Amy, isn't it?
Yes, it sure
At
is.
least, yes, at least you have snow. Here we don't have snow, just freezing and a bit of rain.
Yeah. Which is also really cool. It's just really like raw, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It's quite, but I mean, it is winter, so we have to just put up with it for another couple of months, don't we?
Yes, true story. But so Sonya is in, like I said, Sonya's in the fashion world, but Sonya is trying to turn things around because the fashion world has some sustainability issues.
Yes, that's
And she's
perfectly
done
true.
so much research.
Yeah, so basically I've been working, Amy, in the fashion industry for about 20 years now. It seems like a very big number of years, so I feel a bit old saying this. But so I started in the fashion industry as a designer and product specialist. And I've worked for many top brands in the luxury industry. So I worked with Prada, with Burberry, with Dolce & Gabbana, with Bali, and I was mainly a designer, but also looking after, you know, the product, how to design, how to develop a product. So from design, the design phase all the way to the, you know, to the outcome of the product. So that really was a learning ground for me to understand how a product is made and, you know, all the different processes that are involved. But yeah, as I said, initially it was in luxury design. So in luxury, you know, sustainability is important, but it's not like, you know, they try in luxury to do things a bit of a higher quality. So they put a lot of, you know, a lot of research into it. They talk about materials for ages, about colors, about how to make the production processes much better and much more efficient. So I came basically from that world, and then I went also to work for more high street brands. And there it's where I really got concerned, because I could see, you know, the excessive waste, the fast-paced production, the fast-paced timing, you know, for everyone, from the designers to the factories to, you know, to every bit of the that is involved to creating a product. So that was really, you know, eye-opening for me, and also very stressful, because, you know, it's like, okay, design one thing, next thing, next thing, and, you know, you have the buyers on your back always saying, okay, make it faster, make it faster, and, you know, and the pressure is felt from the designer's perspective, but also from the factory perspective. So, you know, factories, to make things faster, they push their workers. So, you know, the treatment of workers is not ideal. Then you don't have time to think. So brands might design so many products, and then, you know, not every product is sold. So what happens to all these products that are not sold? You know, they end up in landfills. And so this is, you know, that's where I actually really saw the impact of that fast fashion has on the environment. So I decided to leave a comfortable job, very comfortable job, for something a bit more meaningful, because, you know, I have two kids. You know, we want to, when we're not here anymore, we want to leave, you know, a world where others, you know, can live into, like we have lived into. So with the comforts that we have, etc. So I said, okay, come on, let me move into this direction, and that's where I've been working in the last, let's say, 3 to 5 years. And I've been teaching professionals about sustainability in fashion, so how to design a product to make it a bit more sustainable. Then I've been working with organizations like GIZ, that it's a German governmental agency. So, and they help factories, in the global south. So let's say Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Oh,
Uh,
very important.
yes, to become a bit more sustainable. So looking at how to design sustainable products, but also how to use less water, less chemicals, and all of that. So yeah, this is my background and my story, and this is where I kind of arrived up till now.
Wow. I mean, that must have been, gosh, that must have been so eye-opening for you to have come from that, super, that cushy job and, everything is so great. And then just like, oh, it's not all like this.
That's
Um,
it.
and then, and then feeling like something needs to be done. This is not okay.
Yes, yes.
So thank goodness. I mean, I'm sorry that you had to see that, but thank goodness you're there and you're that passionate about it to really take that on and try to make a difference for the next generation. And for this
Yes.
generation,
Yeah.
hopefully, like, hopefully things will change really quickly.
Yes, hopefully, because in my research, basically, I was checking, and they say Generation Z. So the Generation Z is like from, I think the age range is from 12 to 27 years old. So the younger generation now, for them, sustainability is much more important than the brand name. When we were growing up, we were like,
Right.
oh, look, Gucci, Prada, Dolce Gabbana, and that made, fashion for us.
Right.
Instead, the younger generations are like, okay, yeah, fine, Gucci, Prada, but, they kind of value sustainability over just a brand name. So I think that gives us hope for the future, because they will demand a sustainable product,
Hmm.
and this means that brands, they will have to go in that direction 100%. So hopefully, with
Mm.
the work we're doing in the background, this will be the future.
Well,
um,
I really hope so. I was just talking to
yeah.
someone recently, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but they were saying, this newer generation, they don't think about anything. Like they're not concerned about anything. I'm like, ooh, I hope that's not
Well,
true.
no, to be fair, you do have a point, because when you then look at the sales of these of these fast fashion brands, it's incredible. They're
Yeah.
selling so many items. They're surpassing every brand, historical brand that we know.
Mm.
So you have, I think, like in everything, we have to, we're for now we're talking the talk, but not walking the walk 100%. So we're consumers, I think, and ourselves, we are consumers.
Right.
We do understand that these things have a lot of implications, but we still need industry people, like brands, just to sell us sustainable items
Hmm.
instead, or something, just get involved seriously in sustainability. So I think, we're at a crossroad where we need governments, yeah, to help companies and say, listen, guys,
Absolutely.
if you want to, for example, the European community said, if in the future you want to sell within the European community, now I don't remember the exact percentage, but like 30%, I think it is, of your product needs to come from recycled sources. So then what brands say, oh gosh, if we don't adjust our production, we won't be able to
We're not
sell
going to
in
get that
Europe.
discount. Yeah.
That's it. So in Europe anymore. So I think, between us professionals, talking about it, you making a podcast about it, brands, slowly
Yeah.
wanting to do more about it. I think hopefully we're going in the right direction. Fingers
Right.
crossed.
Right. I mean, one of the issues that I keep coming across because, fast fashion is so, um, it's so cheap, so easy to access, is that sustainable, like, healthy clothing, the well-made clothing is so expensive, and it's so hard to access that everyone can't get it, and that's a real problem. So I think that, what you were saying with, you were saying the German government or the European government was saying, um
That was the European government
yeah,
saying
yeah,
about recycled garments.
yeah.
Yes.
And I think that that was the conversation that we were having before, that Europe is just so far, beyond the US and other parts of the world.
Yes, I mean, I was surprised when you told me that. It was a very interesting fact because the US has such a big potential, etc. But maybe with the imposition of laws, it's coming more from the European community first, and hopefully we can then all work together, US and Europe,
Right.
towards having a bit more regulation for the industry,
Yeah.
because basically one of the factors I think that changed the clothing industry so much is globalization. Before, I bet even in your area, if you had fashion clothing companies close by, and so if not in your own state, maybe in a different state, so it was much easier to
Right.
to look after the production of your jumper, for example, because you can pop to the factory, have a chat with the owner, see the workers there,
Right.
make adjustments and everything. So everything was a bit more localized.
Sure.
But within the year, especially, so when I started, actually, we used a lot of factories in Europe, especially in Italy, and there was the small artisans that would help make the samples, and it was
Right.
kept close, just so you knew, if a factory treated their workers badly, everybody would know. But now you design in the US and you produce, let's say, in China or Bangladesh, it's very, very hard to keep an eye on what's really going on behind it.
Right.
It's really, really difficult. And I think, with 53 million tons of clothing, produced annually, it's very hard to keep an eye on everything. So I think it's nice that in the US many industries are now investing in the local market and the US market to have denim produced in the US, things, because now with machinery it's not as expensive as it used to be before. You needed the specialized people, but now with a lot of advancement in machinery, you can produce anywhere with similar costs to China, to Bangladesh, etc. But
Right.
to change the whole system takes years and years. So I mean, hopefully there is already a trend for people to come back, or to have tighter production processes, and there's new technologies that helps with traceability. So for example, they're talking let's say for the leather, you can trace the leather from the cow all through to the, I mean, it's still in the process of being put
Right.
world, how you say, at a bigger scale, but there are still initiatives to trace the cotton, for example, from the crop all the way to the final t-shirt. So, and this is done with blockchain. So there's many things that are going around, and hopefully it will
That's
get
wild.
better. Yes,
That
yes.
you can track cotton.
Yeah, I know. Basically, I mean, we go into, it's very detailed, but it's like done with DNA. So they take a little bit of the DNA, and then with blockchain technology, don't ask me how, they
Right.
manage to crop it all the way till the finished garment. So it's so obviously new technology advancements, it's they're key, like AI now lately happened in in high tech, and even in the fashion industry we have many things, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they will help brands to become more sustainable, and for us consumers to understand better, if we are buying sustainably or not.
Right. I didn't realize until you said that just now that there were designs that were just thrown out. That's that's really sad. I mean, that the designers they make these designs and then they have them made and it just doesn't look the way that it did on paper, I guess.
Yes, also that's another thing, because basically us designers, you start off with these million ideas. I want it this way, that way, this cut, the other cut. But then obviously when it goes in production, because I followed the whole process, so more or less I know what happens from the design to all the way down to production. When it goes in production, it's all about cost. So so if the design was, it had a trim that was a bit more costly, or if it had a workmanship, that gets cut off. And
Yeah,
then from the original design, you can barely recognize what you've designed initially. But it's not always like this, I mean, depending on the brand. So
mm,
yes. And then when we refer, to sustainability, like sustainability is such a big term. Sometimes I like to use, slow fashion,
mm,
because it's specific to the clothing industry. So I like to use the word slow fashion because it celebrates, long lasting, eco-friendly, choices and clothes. And it's the complete opposite to fast fashion, where it's cheap, trendy,
throw
and
away. Yeah,
throwaway and very quick, how you say, turnover of styles. And we talk about a lot about mindfulness nowadays in society, on how it's important, for us, for our own health, to be mindful. And I think, you can apply that to fashion as well. Design something in a mindful way. I'm designing this, I don't know, because it's made with this certain material, with a certain color. It's we don't have as many items like this in a collection. And so I think mindfulness, because it's a big thing now in Europe. Everybody's talking about, we need to be mindful and be,
sure.
be more with our thoughts. I think it can be,
Right. Well, and as you're saying, as a consumer, I mean, it's important to be mindful because, not only does it look good, but, does it fit well? But
does it feel good as
does
well?
it
Does it
feel
feel
good, and does
good?
it feel
That's it.
good in your heart? Like, do you feel good wearing it because someone wasn't abused and someone wasn't worked too hard and someone wasn't cutting corners because they were like, being watched and not paid well, and like,
That's it.
there's so many points that, just having watched your posts, I'm learning about that I was not really aware of. Um,
Yes, yes. There's so many, so many aspects to sustainability. So, for example, if you ask me which steps can a brand take, there's, as you said, there's so many different steps. You could say, okay, for example, I think Mara Hoffman, she's a US designer, and she does these beautiful garments. And but she's focusing more on the ethical side of her business. So she's like,
yes.
listen, I use smaller factories or smaller partners, and ethically everybody's treated well. And so she goes into this direction. Otherwise, when people ask me from brands, what can I do to be more sustainable? Even just addressing overproduction, just look at how many styles and how many colorways you're putting into the market,
Right.
and just, cut them down dramatically. Design less and design better. So then, you're not using resources. When you launch something in the market, it's really, it's really valuable because you've thought about it, and you designed it really well.
Right.
Instead, some fast fashion brands, I always mention Shane. Poor Shane, it's getting all the blame. But Shane is, I'm not sure if you say Shane in the US, it's spelled
Oh,
Shein.
EIN. I
Cheetah, I think
very
maybe they
vaguely
said
heard about
cheetah.
that, but I don't follow fashion like a lot of
No,
people.
well,
But
I
I
can
have,
fill you in on this. It's basically you know, fast fashion it historically was, you know, H&M, Zara, you know, those are, or Forever 21, those are, you know, key fast fashion brands. But Shane just came in the last 10 years, and it was established in 2021. And basically they add, so they're very, you know, trendy, fashionable, they change their collections, you know, always,
seasonally, right?
literally, not daily. So for
Oh
example,
gosh.
they've done some research, and they launch 2,000 products in their stores, or I mean online and in their stores, a day. And for in specific days, so in some days, so let's say during the year, maybe there's some months that are a bit more popular. So they launch 7,000 items a day. So if we calculate for a whole year, Shane is releasing 2.5 million new products each year. So, I mean, this can never be sustainable. Two and a
Right.
half million new products a year.
Wow.
So imagine their designers are so stressed because it's just ridiculous. And obviously, because there's so many items, you can imagine, you know, the quality is, you know, wear them once and then they end up in landfill.
Right. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So
Uh,
it's very, very difficult to kind of even envisage really two, you know, 2.5 million new products a year. So
and on a
it's just,
daily basis, if they're putting new products in, what happens to the products that are being replaced?
yeah, that's a very, very good point. Very good point. And we don't really want to look into
Let's not discuss
no, I
that.
mean it's worrying. Also because, you know, most of the, let's say 90% of the clothing, it's you know, synthetic materials, and synthetic materials, you know, like polyester and nylon, they are petrol based. So when we say I'm wearing plastic, let's say this is not synthetic, but if I was wearing my fleece that I have upstairs, because also there, you know, I want to say that you don't have to avoid fast fashion completely. You know, you know, fast fashion serves a purpose. But if you buy an item from fast fashion or a synthetic item, make it last 10 years, you know, then fine, it's justified, you know, you've invested in that item, you're going to wear it, you're going to take a lot of use out of it, and, you know, and keep it going for a while. But unfortunately, one big negative side of fast fashion is the use of materials, you know, like, you know, as well, the polyester, and they're all petrol based, and that's bad for the environment, because then when we throw them in landfill, you know, they break down into further chemicals that are absorbed by our soil. And then apart from that, oops, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so they release toxins, and plus when we wear them, you know, they damage our health. So because we, let's say when we do sports, you know, and we have polyester and or nylon you know, clothing, and like I have nylon leggings, you know, for the whole
Right.
stretchy bit, you still
Right.
need synthetics. There's nothing that can on the market now that it's not synthetic that can give you that stretch and that, you know, how do you
Right.
say that, that durability during sports and the efficiency of textiles. And so you know, so that is so then we absorb those chemicals, and then you know, and then it's good for our hormones, you know, cancers and all sorts, because, you know, it's not the chemicals just from that, it's the chemicals in our food, you know, in our clothing, in the air. So it's when all these chemicals add up, it's not good for our health. So even synthetic clothing, it's not good for our health.
Mm.
So sorry to be to be the bearer
Oh,
of bad news.
no, I mean,
But there's a
it's,
lot to be done.
you know, if you were not in your position, Sonya, I don't know who would let us know this. Like, it's important for us to know these things. I mean, I think it's important for us to know, like, what, you know, when you're buying these cheap clothes, you know, that, and just replacing them seasonally because they're not popular anymore, like what you're actually participating in and what's, you know, what's happening. Um, I think it's really important, and it's, you know, it's hard to hear, but it's necessary.
Yes, I think it's good. You know, we have these channels to spread the word, and obviously with your help, my help as a industry professional, but you know, even the younger generations that are, you know, all for looking into these topics that
Mm.
are still not too bored about this this topic. And I think there's much to do, but you know, I see also for the future, you know, I see the future in a positive way. You know, we need, because all this focus on sustainability will breed new businesses, you know, new technologies. So for me, it's all good news for the future, and hopefully we can work together to have something. Something positive. And we mustn't forget that we are 8 billion people on this planet, so each small steps really counts. So if from this call and this podcast, you know, your listeners can take something, you know, I know it's overwhelming, but they can, if any one of us can take one small step, it will make a very, very big difference, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we're all doing a little something, then it's all going to add up. You know, we all don't need to have, I mean, we all certainly can do big things, but
Yeah.
it's not, we just need to do what we can.
Yes, it's true. We don't need to, you know, we don't want to stress all the audience out or ourselves out. You know,
Right.
you just by doing little bits and being more mindful of what we buy and asking questions and saying, okay, this is a lovely product. Where has it been produced? Like, do you look after your workers? Even these small things, I think, you know, in my personal life, what I do, I'm like, okay, this year I didn't buy any new clothes. Then from a fashion person,
That's
that's
impressive.
quite a big thing. But I did buy used, you know. So if I like something, let's say, instead of buying virgin new item, virgin material, etc., I go on Vinted or go on secondhand website and just buy it secondhand if I really like it. You see, instead of, because the less we buy new, the more we give the signal to brands that they're producing too much. There's
Hmm.
too much going around. We don't need all this stuff. Where is all this stuff going to end once, you know, if we don't buy it all? And even if we buy it all, you know, at the end of it, there is no plan for it. It will go in landfill, and just a very small amount will be recycled.
Right. So how do
So
they get that message though? I mean, I guess it would be just in purchases and money spent,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So,
mainly. I
yeah.
think yes, because because we don't realize, but we're so powerful with our spending habits. So if, you know, if we show, okay, I'm not going to buy that because, you know, I don't know where it comes from, or just even sending emails to local, how you say, local authorities, and understanding a bit more about the product we want to buy, and then, and just generally, you know, buy less and buy better. I think that's the key, as always.
Right.
As
Yeah.
always, that's the main thing. Don't, you know, then obviously, and all these choices, you know, have brought new business models as well. So now everybody is creating new businesses on secondhand, you know, where to sell secondhand, websites on rental. So
Mhm.
many, before we were a bit, a bit shy about renting garments, but
Right.
if you have a wedding this summer, why not treat yourself and rent a beautiful garment? Usually renting it's for more for higher end garments, and just rent it instead of buying it.
Right.
Or, the repair market, that's another business model that's coming out from sustainability. So people that tell us, industry leaders that say, listen, we're going to lose money, it's not true. We are actually making new businesses that before did not exist.
Yeah.
So we're covering all our all our angles.
Right. Well, and I like that too, because it's also encouraging people to learn to like mend and
That's
sew and
it.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or it's supporting those people that have those skills,
Yes.
which I think is really cool. Oh. uh okay. So I think that now I'm just thinking about the video ending.
The video editing, yes, I do. Yeah, you tell me. I mean, we could I could go on for ages.
No,
but but
I think that we should. I think it would be good to do like who maybe who you respect, maybe, or who
yeah,
who you think is doing good work, who's making a big effort into sustainability, um
yeah,
or
yeah, I mean, I
what
wrote
needs to be done right now.
yeah, yeah, because I wrote like points where like, what are the important steps for brands towards sustainability, and then the impact of fast fashion on the planet. I mean, we've seen that already. Globalization, we spoke about. The sustainable materials, and on the innovation we haven't spoken about.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, you tell me, what do you think? Or just which are the brands, because between me and you there's not that many brands that are
Making big
sustainable.
efforts. Yeah, I believe that.
So I think, they choose one or two subjects. They say, okay,